William Collins presents The Frayed Atlantic Edge, A Historian's Journey from Shetland to the Channel, by David Gange, read by Ed Hughes. Preface. This journey involved arriving, dripping and bedraggled in dozens of coastal communities. When I set out, I hadn't imagined just how generous the people whose homes and workplaces I dampened would be. Without such openness, particularly evident on small islands, this project would never have got far. I learned as much through long evenings of discussion as through the other three resources on which the book is based: libraries, archives, and the observation of land and sea from the kayak. It wasn't just the spectacles of sea cliffs, nor the dramas of ocean weather, but also those social occasions that meant I ended the journey with greatly intensified enthusiasm for scattered Atlantic islands like Fula, Barra, and Tory. Such conversations work to strengthen the conviction I set out with, that British and Irish histories are usually written inside out, perpetuating the misconception that today's land-bound geographies have existed forever. Despite the efforts of authors such as Barry Cunliffe, whose Facing the Ocean, the Atlantic and its Peoples, 8000 BC to AD 1500, 2001, inspired much debate among historians, the significance of coasts is consistently underestimated, and the potential of small boats as tools to make sense of their histories is rarely explored. This book sets out to put some of that imbalance right, showing not only that Atlantic geographies have been crucial to British and Irish life, but that they continue to be so. It is structured by region because part of its purpose is to show how similar ingredients of wind, waves, and rock have been transformed into entirely different island and coastal cultures by the divergent processes of history. The chapters were written in order while I travelled, so my process of learning runs in parallel to the reader's experience of moving through the book, burrowing gradually deeper into the many ways in which the shorelines are significant. This allows the narrative to follow a trajectory in which the opening chapters evoke the art of kayaking, establishing sounds, smells, sights, and stories of the venerable tradition of travelling at sea level. Only gradually does the balance shift towards historical research, literary criticism and argument, revealing the implications of new perspectives picked up through slow travel. The final section, The View from the Sea, completes that transition. It switches to a different register as it unpicks historical significance from the chapters. It argues that the whole shape of British history is transformed by granting Atlantic coasts and islands a central rather than marginal role. The implications of key historical moments are problematized or reversed. The so-called Enlightenment, for instance, might best be interpreted as the triumph of a few cities, Dublin, Edinburgh, London, Birmingham, at the expense of other regions. For coastal communities, it was the beginning and the cause of a lengthy dark age. In contrast, much of what were once referred to as dark ages had been eras of great coastal strength and enlightenment, when the intellectual traditions of the Irish Atlantic were the most advanced in Europe. Such reversals abound. The widely celebrated Education Acts of 1870 and 1872 were unmitigated disasters for many coastal zones, while the grim economic recession of the 1970s saw an island renaissance unprecedented for 2 centuries. All British history looks different when inland cities are made remote by seeing them from Atlantic shorelines. And the most powerful element of a year's journey by kayak was immersion in that changed perspective. As this suggests, it's not just historical narratives, but also familiar geographies that these waters erode. I began the journey believing I was travelling down a western edge of Britain and Ireland, and assuming I knew what that implied. But these Atlantic shores were long connected as closely to Reykjavik, Bilbao, or the Moroccan port of Safi as to London. There are echoes of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?